So let us start with reading the opening aspiration. If anyone would like to read, please go ahead.
Yeah. With boundless compassion and wisdom, I will work for the welfare of all. May we be free from hunger and discord and have joy and a world at peace.
Thank you. So we were on verse 10, and just to revise our memory, at least mine, I'm bad at it, we can just read it again on the verse before we go on to the commentary. If all the mothers who have loved me since beginningless time are suffering, what is the use of my own happiness? So, with the aim of liberating limitless sentient beings, to set my mind on enlightenment is the practice of a Bodhisattva. So, as we were discussing, that if we are all in a swamp, first I have to get out of the swamp and have feet on firm land so that I can help. And that is why when I set my mind on my inner practice, enlightenment, then I in turn will be affecting limitless sentient beings who like me suffer when I am in my ego consciousness and trapped in my ignorance. So for that purpose I would do the practice, because when I am in ignorance I also suffer and people around me also suffer. So that's why I would do the practice. This was the crux, and we were here. Yes, we had read until this point. Where was it? Yeah, all beings in spirit realm, cell realm, seven realms. Until this point we had read. So we start today from ultimately as noted in the discussion. So anyone would like to read, please.
Yeah, I can do. Give me 1 second. Ultimately, as noted in the discussion on karma in verse 8, there are no sentient beings to be liberated and no one to liberate them anyway. The belief in an autonomous being is what prevents our liberation in the first place. But nonetheless, on a relative or conventional level, which is where we are living, this aspiration completely transforms one's own motivation. I'm not doing this for me, but for all beings. Also, when we do something virtuous and dedicate the merit, we are doing it on behalf of other beings because they do not know how to do this. We are their representative. We perform the action and then we dedicate the merit for all beings so that they may rise as we rise. It is like putting yeast in the heavy dough of life so that everything rises, not just the yeast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we can take a pause here. So on the absolute level, if we look at the play, the Leela, then of course it is all a play of the divine. And who is suffering but Krishna himself, right? So because there is nothing but the divine, there is nothing but the Krishna, then everything that we see in existence, including every creature, stone, anything, animal, ourselves, people around us, anything that we see is a manifestation of Krishna himself. And who is suffering? Krishna himself. So there is nothing to be liberated in that sense, because since everything is divine and it's his own play. So but on a relative level this is not true. So ultimately, on an ultimate level, this is true that okay, there is nothing to be liberated. Actually, no one is suffering, because it's a leela. But on the relative level, where we have the play of Maya, there actually we suffer. We all know that we suffer when we are in ego consciousness. So on a relative level, this is true. For example, to see what is the difference between the ultimate and the relative level, we can use an example. है ना कि एक वो थी स्टोरी, एक स्टोरी याद आ रही है मेरे को. There was this a person who went to a guru, and after a few months he got some good kind of tools and practices, and thought that okay, now I have learned something. And when he got back to his village, he was telling everyone that uh, everything is Brahm, everything is divine, there is nothing but the divine. सबको बता रहे जा जाके. And then there is, on the way, on the road, he is walking, crossing the road, and there is a very big elephant coming on the road. And the Mahavat sitting on the top, he says that please, get off the way. It's a big elephant, get off the way. He says, why? Elephant is divine, everything is divine. So he gets trampled over by the elephant, and of course he has his wounds and everything. And then later on he goes back to the guru and he says, what just happened? You said that everything is divine, and I tried to manifest it in my life, but nothing really did not work. So he says that yes, I said everything is divine. Now the Mahavat sitting on the elephant was also divine, and he was telling you that get off the way. So you did not listen to that advice. So that is how things are on relative level. That on an absolute level, yes, we cannot die, right? Nothing dies. We just drop off the body. But on a relative level, people die, right? And then we lose our loved ones and feel the grief and feel the pain. So she is now talking of the relative level. She says that yes, ultimately there is no one जिसको आपको liberate कराना है. You are also liberated. You also have Buddha nature. But now the belief in an autonomous being is what prevents our liberation in the first place. So autonomous being in Buddhism refers to that when I say I am suffering, if I look within myself, there is an entity which is suffering. Right? That is what my belief is, that there is a me who is suffering. So in Buddhism, they say that this is a false conception, this is a false view. Because if you inquire, even Ramana Maharishi's self inquiry, if we take, so if you ask a question, or if you say that I am suffering, Ramana, what is your suggestion? Then he will ask, who is this I who is suffering? So when you go within and you try to find that I, like an entity, like a rock solid entity, you will see that you don't find anything there. You have scattered thoughts, you have scattered feelings, you have scattered sensations, but there is no rock solid entity called I who is suffering. All that you find is awareness of thoughts, feelings, and sensations, right? So this is what is called autonomous being, a being that exists by itself. वो नहीं है, there is no me inside. So that is what they are saying, that this belief in an autonomous being, this little me, मैं, मुझे अपने आप को बचा के रखना है बाहर की forces से, that the belief in an autonomous being is what prevents our liberation in the first place. But nonetheless, now although this is true, but nonetheless, on a relative or conventional level, which is where we are living, this aspiration completely transforms one's own motivation. I am not doing this for me, but for all beings. So, on a relative level, I exist. Let us say that I have a passport, I have a place to stay, it means I am here on a relative level. I have a body. So there is this something called a separate self. So अगर उसको true लेके माने कि okay, there is a separate self on a relative level which is there, then she says that this motivation is very good, because it says that I'm not doing just for me, I'm also doing because when I liberate myself, then the beings around me also get affected. So I'm not doing this for me, but for all beings. Also, when we do something virtuous and dedicate the merit, we are doing it on behalf of other beings because they do not know how to do it. So many times we see Jetsunma in her talks, she shares about these prostrations that Buddhists have to do in their practices. And she says that when inwardly you are doing those prostrations, or outwardly you're physically prostrating, sakshat shastang pranam jab hum kar rahe hote hain, then we also imagine that all the beings and creatures like fish and birds and everything, they are also doing the prostrations to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas when I am doing. So we are doing it together. So that is the visualization, that we are also doing it on behalf of other beings. So अगर जैसे आपने समाधि पे जैसे we put our head on the samadhi or wherever relics are, when we bow down our head, we can imagine that the whole earth is bowing down to Mother and Sri Aurobindo. So that is like taking everybody on the path together. So when we do something virtuous, we dedicate the merit. We are their representative. We perform the action and then we dedicate the merit for all beings so that they may rise as we rise. It is like putting yeast in the heavy dough of life so that everything rises, not just the yeast. So yeast, when it enters the dough, not only it rises, but the whole dough rises. So that is, it's a beautiful imagery that when we do it, when we not only do it for ourselves but the whole of existence, because all of us may not be in the state to do that. So if I can, let me do it on behalf of everyone. So anything here, anyone?
Yeah, so Monica, one
Yeah.
question.
Hmm.
Let's say here what she's written is very relevant. I mean, it
Hmm.
comes to my mind a lot that
Hmm.
ultimately, as noted in the discussion on karma, there are no sentient beings to be liberated and no one to liberate them
Hmm.
anyway.
Hmm.
You know, sometimes what happens is like I have a friend who's a strong believer of mother.
Hmm.
So it's good that she is a strong believer and
Hmm.
that she
Hmm.
is always of the belief that mother is gonna take care of her. So let's say she's unwell, or
Hmm.
let's say she's going on a flight or something, and then if I wish her that okay, you get well soon or something. So usme sometimes I feel why am I wishing her when mother is already there with her?
Hmm.
So what's the point of me wishing?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I mean in such situation it gets very confusing. Like
Hmm.
even if you from inside wanna send her some good wishes or so what should we do then? Because then it feels like it's just a wastage of time, you know. What's the point of wishing?
Nee, the point is that, see, first of all, we are not telling her that I am wishing well for you. Because when we do these things by telling, it is just, usually it becomes part of our ego. देख मैंने तेरे लिए अच्छा सोचा.
Uh-huh.
So we can't help but tell her that. So तभी मतलब it's beautiful when anonymously we are doing it and the other person may not realize it. He may not
Okay,
even appreciate it.
okay, okay.
है ना? He, in fact, he may reject you, that why are you wishing for me? People are
Okay.
in all kind of states. Doesn't matter whether I am a follower of mother or not follower of a mother. Doesn't matter. Mother is looking over all her children, whether we are following her or not. So
Yeah,
on one hand, you are right that how does it matter, since mother knows how to take care. Totally.
yeah.
But the thing is that we don't do it for them only, we do it for our own self also, because when I'm praying for anyone, it brings purity in my being.
वो ना बादल बड़ी तेज है.
बारिश हो रही है लगता दिल्ली में, बादल बड़ी तेज है.
ठीक है.
बारिश हो रही है.
सॉरी नहीं हो कह रही है, बादल आने वाले हैं.
हाँ हाँ, या सुबह से ही बने हुए हैं. एनीवे,
So,
या
right,
सो
yeah.
the thing is that we do it for our own purity, because we will be thinking about something. See, if that person is on my mind, I will be thinking about that person anyway, right? और बाय डिफॉल्ट हमारे दिमाग में शुभ विचार आते नहीं है. हम ऐसे ही हैं, हम क्या करें. बाय डिफॉल्ट इधर उधर के ख्याल आते हैं. सो ये सोचने के बजाय इधर उधर के ख्याल, आप ये वेल कर दो कि चलो चाहे मेरे साथ है मेरे साथ नहीं है, मे दैट पर्सन बी वेल हैप्पी. May that person have all the happiness and wealth, so health and wealth in their life. So that's it. You did it for your own purity.
Yeah.
है ना,
It's
क्योंकि
basically for our own self only,
एग्जैक्टली
because
हाँ.
we have to
तो
do something.
आप अगर ये भी मान लो कि चलो मैं अपना दिल बहला रही हूँ करके, तो वो आपके लिए भी तो अच्छा है दिल बहलाना इस तरीके से, क्योंकि दूसरे तरीके से जब हम दिल बहलाते हैं तो उसमें हमें दर्द होता है, सफरिंग होती है. तो आप अच्छे तरीके से दिल बहला लो, है ना, ऑन अ रिलेटिव लेवल. अगेन अल्टीमेट लेवल, करेक्ट, that nobody needs any blessings, right? Everybody has blessings of the divine. But
Yeah.
since I have to think something, why not think good? वो बात होती है यहाँ पे, है ना?
पर हमारी ब्लेसिंग्स कुछ ना कुछ तो पॉजिटिव करती होंगी ना, मतलब
अब
विशेष
मतलब
या कुछ.
देखो ना, अब लॉजिक भी देखो, आप अगर लॉजिक से भी देखो, अगर हमारी थॉट्स और फीलिंग्स, if they can generate a disease in the body, if our
Yeah.
thoughts and feelings can generate a disease in the body, disorder in the body, then how powerful they are.
Yeah.
तो अगर शुभ विचार है तो उनकी क्या पावर है हमें नहीं पता, है ना. और अभी हम उस दिन बात कर रहे थे दूसरे सेशन में कि अभी हम जो एक रिलेटिवली हेल्दी स्टेट में हैं, हमें क्या पता कि कितने लोगों की ब्लेसिंग्स लगी हुई हैं ऑलरेडी, जिन्होंने बताया भी नहीं आपको कि देखो मैं तेरे लिए प्रे कर रही हूँ या ब्लेस कर रही हूँ. वी डोंट नो.
Yeah.
So thoughts are powerful. Thoughts have power, and we have seen that in our life. That whenever we have good thoughts, positive thoughts, how we are active and very proactive and productive. The moment our mood slips down and the thoughts go bad and negative, how it disrupts the whole schedule. We have seen that.
एक मिनट बस.
कोई बहुत ही ज्यादा याद कर रहा है जितू. Yeah. So we go ahead then. Okay. So we can read then the next few bits. The verse says, if all the mothers who have loved me. So we can start from here.
I'll read it.
Yes.
The verse says, if all the mothers who have loved me since beginningless time are suffering, what is the use of my own happiness? How can I be happy escaping from the burning house if my mother is still burning? My own liberation doesn't make sense unless it is a direct cause of the liberation of all beings. To set our mind on enlightenment with the aim of liberating limitless sentient beings is the practice of a Bodhisattva, because only enlightenment will give us the power, the wisdom, and the compassion to liberate all beings. Nothing else will do. This aim is the focus of the first verse of Langri Tangpa's revered 8 verses of training the mind. Wishing to attain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings, which excels even the wish fulfilling jewel, may I constantly cherish them all. Should I continue more?
Yeah, you can also take up this next paragraph.
Yes. The wish fulfilling jewel is a feature of Indian mythic tradition. It is considered to be a jewel owned by the gods that grants whatever worldly desire we may have. If we want ice cream, there is ice cream. If we want gold or diamonds, they instantly appear. A nice, bright red Ferrari, here it is. This jewel can bestow anything in the world, but it cannot give us spiritual gifts. It cannot give us insight. It cannot give us enlightenment. It can only grant mundane benefits. Our wishing to attain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings makes our sacred aspiration something far more rare and precious. Can I read this paragraph one more time, please?
Yeah, yeah.
The wish fulfilling jewel is a feature of Indian mythic tradition. It is considered to be a jewel owned by the gods that grants whatever worldly desire we may have. If we want ice cream, there is ice cream. If we want gold or diamonds, they instantly appear. A nice bright red Ferrari, here it is. This jewel can bestow anything in the world, but it cannot give us spiritual gifts. It cannot give us insight. It cannot give us enlightenment and enlightenment. It can only grant mundane benefits. Our wishing to attain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings makes our sacred aspiration something far more rare and precious. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think this motivation helps us because many a times we slack in our aspiration and motivation. In our discipline again comes down, and we are just like here and there. So when we remind ourselves of this, that I'm not just doing it for my own self, but I'm also doing it for so many of us which who suffer, like how I suffer when I'm not, when I'm in the veils of ignorance. So this helps us renew and refresh the motivation. This is what. So I think it is just reiterating that uh, with the aim of liberating limitless sentient beings is the practice of a bodhisattva, because only enlightenment will give us the power, the wisdom and the compassion. Because see, होता क्या है कि हम अपनी हाफ नॉलेज में जो भी हेल्प एक्सटेंड करते हैं किसी को भी, वो कभी भी वो पूरी हेल्प नहीं हो सकती, वो एब्सोल्यूट हेल्प नहीं हो सकती. इट कैन नॉट डू हिम अल्टीमेट बेनिफिट. इट मे डू रिलेटिव बेनिफिट, लाइक ओके कि तुम्हारे पास पैसे हैं तो तुमने क्या किया, अपना पैसा किसी को शेयर कर दिया ताकि वो भी खाना खा सके, गुड, ऑन अ रिलेटिव लेवल बेनिफिट, ठीक है. बट दैट पर्सन इज स्टिल डिपेंडेंट ऑन यू, राइट. ही इज नॉट इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ यू. अगर तुम पैसा नहीं दोगे तो वो कहाँ से खाना खाएगा. सो that's the thing, that in our half knowledge, half ignorance, when we are not knowing who we truly are fully, when we don't see how things they truly are, when we are bound by our sense mind and surface mind and ego consciousness, then whatever help we will do will be a very minimum benefit. It will do at times, it may even harm. We may not know, but it may even harm. So in our half knowledge, if I am helping someone, like it's like, imagine a sharabi. अगर एक शराबी दूसरे शराबी को हेल्प करना चाह रहा है तो वो क्या करेगा, वो उसको शराब की बोतल पकड़ा देगा, ले, मैं तेरा दोस्त हूं, मैं तेरे लिए लेके आया हूँ, बिकॉज यही तो तेरे को अच्छा लगता है. बट दोनों ही ब्लाइंड है. तो ये हमारी हालत है कि एक शराबी दूसरे शराबी की क्या हेल्प कर लेगा. So if I am away from my addiction, if I am not sharabi anymore, then only I have clarity that okay, how can I truly help the other person who I know is addicted, how I was addicted. Then I can maybe truly help him. So then I would not be gifting him a bottle of wine or vodka. So only enlightenment will give us the power, the wisdom and the compassion to liberate all beings. The power, the wisdom and compassion. Nothing else will do. So what is the right action I should do here in this instance? What is the right word I should be saying? What is the right help I should be extending? Whether I should be speaking out this word or not, that only comes when we have true knowledge of things, which we don't have right now. So this aim is the focus of the first verse of Langri Thangpa's revered 8 verses of training the mind, which we had done, I think, in the beginning of when we started the heroic heart, and before that the Saturday sessions we used to do. So see, it says wishing to attain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings, which exceeds even the wish fulfilling jewel, may I constantly cherish them all. So, no matter how much difficulty I may have to go through right now, but this idea of doing it not for myself, doing the practice not only for myself, but all the beings around me, it is even more precious than a wish fulfilling jewel. जैसे अलादीन का चिराग होता था, है ना? अलादीन का चिराग से हम कुछ भी कह सकते हैं कि अच्छा मुझे ये सब दे दो, वहां ले जाओ, उड़ा के उधर ले जाओ, एकदम से अच्छे कपड़े पहना दो. बट दीज आर ऑल टेम्पररी. देयर कम्स अ टाइम वेयर वी रियलाइज दैट उससे नहीं होगा. इट्स नॉट enough. All these material things, they are still not enough. There's still something missing. So he says that she says it is even more precious than a wish fulfilling jewel. So on one hand, I have to get up every day and practice because it leads to enlightenment and I'm working for myself and others. And on one hand, somebody says that okay, here you have the wish fulfilling jewel. What would you choose? So the other path of walking on the path of enlightenment appears very difficult, but I will still choose that because I know that's the true way. And wish fulfilling jewel, I won't give me lasting anything. It is just temporary gratification. Yeah. So anything here, anyone?
This reminds me of not fully relevant, but this reminds me of that painting in Savitri Bhavan. It's Sri Aurobindo is walking through this sabha of good and bad. Uh, they're offering him so many different things, and he's still saying that no, this is not what I want. I want something big beyond. There is a gate with light flooding inside where he is. I don't remember the lines. I tried to search, but again, even during sadhana, there are so many stories I read or I listen to where one is doing sadhana and Indra gives him Apsarasa and say, go marry her. And then he's taking it. The moment he takes it, that's the end of it. So the desires, as long as there are desires, there is no room for this thing where all the sentient beings come. Because with desire, I think that's where I stop. So yeah.
Yes.
Also, ma'am,
Yes. Please.
sorry.
Yes.
The other thing, Ritu ma'am, when you were talking now about the prayers, will the prayers protect? I can confirm with 100% surety that prayers do protect. I used to ride my motorcycle like a maniac back in India, like back right here. And I was a student in my engineering. And there were some accidents where, there were some accidents where it would have gotten really worse, like the end of my life. And, you know, you would not, like, one would not believe that after the accident, my mother would feel something. When I called her, she's like, "Are you okay?" Or sometimes she would call me, and I clearly knew that it was in her prayers that I was being protected, and not just her prayers. There were many people who were, um, praying for me, but it didn't just happen once because there were instances where in that same spot there were accidents and there were so many buses going on that route. But when I had it, there were no buses. Very strange. So yes, I definitely believe that prayers help. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. एक बार मदर से किसी ने पूछा था, that when mother there are plane crashes, ऐसा क्यों होता है that the divine grace protects the half of people and half are not protected by the divine grace. So then mother said, very weird question you are asking me because when all the planes are flying every day without any crash, then you don't say that divine grace is protecting them all. But when they crash and some are left and some are not left, then you say that okay, divine grace is protecting half of them and half not. So every day there are so many flyings on the road. Every day people are going to office, coming back home, and we take it for granted that कि भैया ये तो होना ही है, right? Their divine grace is not in operation. So, I from my way where I go from, from Gurgaon to Delhi, there is on the way I see planes. I cross the airport wala area. So whenever I see, after reading that thing from the mother, whenever I see an airplane kind of going to land or taking off, I always remember this, that it's grace actually, working in operation. And mother says that you think that your technology and everything is making it work, but that is not true, because there are many instances where everything technologically was okay, but still the operation failed or something crashed. So yeah. So we ये हम actually human फितरत हो जाती है ये, that we, since the mind is hardly ever in the present moment, we take it for granted. जो होता है हमारे पास वो we take it for granted कि अभी हम भले चंगे हैं, माइंड साफ काम कर रहा है, बॉडी साफ काम कर रही है. जब एक्सीडेंट हो जाएगा तब आधा बचा या आधा नहीं बचा, तब की बात हम उस पे आ जाते हैं कि ग्रेस वाज वर्किंग फॉर हाफ ऑफ द पीपल बट नॉट हाफ ऑफ द पीपल. एवरी डे ग्रेस इज वर्किंग, नोबडी इज सीइंग. हमारी फितरत ऐसी है. So I think that's how we, if every day we take out some time to ground ourselves and to thank for the, as Jetsunma says actually, for the causes and conditions that we can today practice the spiritual path in whatever degree. She says that आपने पिछले कर्म में कुछ ना कुछ तो आपने ऐसा किया होगा, now that the causes and conditions have created themselves, that you can practice. So whatever you will do now, that will create further causes and conditions that either you are able to practice or not able to practice. So we are continually generating karma all the time. So why not generate positive and generous stuff? वही जो स्टार्टिंग में बात हो रही थी, थॉट्स की बात हो रही थी, वही सेम बात है कि जब सोचना ही है तो अच्छा सोच लो. Anything more here? Anyone wish fulfilling jewel? So may I constantly cherish them all means also cherishing all the difficulties on the path. है ना, हमको हमारे हमारे साथ क्या होता है कि जब हमारे साथ बहुत चैलेंजिंग डिफिकल्ट टाइम होता है ना, तो हमें एकदम से कभी कभी क्या होता है कि विश्वास उठ गया कि नहीं, हम हमसे तो होगा ही नहीं. जबकि उल्टा है इसका, कि जब ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट सिचुएशन होती है तब एक्चुअली विद रिन्यूड विगर वी कैन राइज अप दैट ओ अभी नहीं हुआ मेरा, अभी तो बहुत कुछ बाकी है. ओ हाउ इजीली आई स्लिप इनटू थॉट्स एंड फीलिंग्स अगेन. So मेरी ही साधना में कमी होगी. I have to pimp myself up, prop myself up. So every time wherever we have difficulties and challenges, all the time, and it is a life facing sadhana with Sri Aurobindo and mother. It is not life facing. कहीं पे भी वो नहीं कह रहे कि जाके चले जाओ अपनी retreat में और not look at the world. They are saying that this has to be done within the world. That non-stickiness has to be done within the world. Living in the world, I have to work on my inner attitude, the way I do work, the way I have intentions for people around me, looking at my thoughts and feelings, turning them to the divine. और बार बार जब हम स्लिप होते हैं, बार बार हमें रिलेशनशिप्स वगैरह से धोखे मिलते हैं, डिसअपॉइंटमेंट्स मिलती हैं, मिलेंगी मिलेंगी, क्योंकि डिजाइन ही ऐसा है क्रिएशन का कि बाहर से हमको कभी भी कांस्टेंट सेटिस्फेक्शन नहीं मिल सकती. आज वो आपका बहुत प्यारा दोस्त, सखी, ये जो भी सहेली है, वो कल कुछ बदलेगा, कुछ गड़बड़, उनकी अपनी प्रायोरिटीज है, सबकी लाइफ में अपनी प्रायोरिटीज है. तो इट इज लाइक अ क्विक सैंड इन विच वी ट्राई टू रूट अवर सेल्व्स, व्हेन वी ट्राई टू रूट अवर सेल्व्स इन द आउटर सिचुएशंस एंड पीपल. तो दैट्स व्हाई जत्सुन्मा सेज कि बाहर से तो धोखा मिलेगा ही मिलेगा, उसके लिए हमें तैयार रहना है. तो और जब भी बाहर से धोखा मिले, जब भी बाहर से चैलेंजिंग सिचुएशन मिले, just telling myself that अरे why was I uprooted so easily, why was I not rooted in the divine. I again began to expect, I again began that अच्छा वहां से खुशी मिलेगी. और ऐसा नहीं है कि नहीं मिल सकती खुशी, बट ये स्टिकीनेस से नहीं मिल सकती हमें खुशी. जो हमारा तरीका है ना चीजों पे, अपीयरेंसेस पे लीप करने का, वी वांट टू जस्ट कीप रिपीटिंग आवर ओल्डर पैटर्न्स. वहीं से खुशी चाहिए, वहीं से खुशी चाहिए, वहीं से खुशी चाहिए, उसी बंदे से चाहिए, वो नहीं मिलेगी. जब वो नहीं मिलती तो फिर हमको अपने अंदर जाना ही पड़ता है और फिर अपने अंदर खुशी ढूंढनी पड़ती है. दैट इज द बेस्ट. In Savitri, there are many lines where it says that we don't easily turn to the divine. बहुत पिट के हम अपने अंदर मुड़ते हैं. आदत ही ऐसी है हमारी. और जब पिटाई हो रही होती है तो बहुत दर्द हो रहा होता है. वो जो सावित्री की लाइंस, टुडे आई हैड शेयर्ड, when this work is happening on us, when we are being chiseled, it's a torture on human condition. It's a torture. It feels like a torture कि इतना दर्द भगवान कैसे दे सकता है. But then he says that the spirit grows in that titan pang. जब दर्द मिलता है तो ही स्पिरिट हमारी बाहर आती है. और ऐसा कौन है जो बिना दर्द के आगे बढ़ गया? कोई स्टोरी नहीं है ऐसी. किसी की भी जीवनी उठा लो आप, कोई भी बड़े महात्मा की, people who you get inspired from, look at their lives and look at the pain also that they had to go through so that the spirit shone in front. तो दर्द तो होगा, बट यही है कि वेदर आई एक्सटेंड माई सफरिंग और एकदम से राइट पाथ पे आके do the proper sadhana within. What Jetsunma shares, that we get lost in these thoughts and feelings rather than taking stance as awareness. एकदम से भूल जाते हैं, फिर उनको सच्चा मानने लग जाते हैं थॉट्स एंड फीलिंग्स को. फिर अवेयरनेस बनते हैं, आई एम द अवेयरनेस, आई एम द अवेयरनेस, अंदर काम कर रहे हैं. फिर एकदम से कुछ आएगा, फिर से भूल जाएंगे, आई एम अवेयरनेस, फिर भूल जाएंगे. तो ये हमारे साथ ये होता रहता है, बहुत टाइम तक होता रहता है. जब भी पता लगे स्लिप हुए हैं, वापस आ जाओ, टेक द स्टांस एज अवेयरनेस. फिर पता लगे, और अगर अपने आप नहीं पता लगता तो दर्द पता लगाता है. जब डिसअपॉइंटमेंट होती है, सफरिंग होती है, उससे वापस वी कैन गेट बैक टू वर्क. स्टे टेकिंग स्टांस एज अवेयरनेस. ये लंबा प्रोसेस है, लॉन्ग प्रोसेस. और लॉन्ग नहीं होता तो क्यों इतनी सारी स्क्रिप्चर्स और बुक्स लिखने की जरूरत होती है ना. सावित्री भी लिख दी श्री अरविंदो ने, लाइफ डिवाइन भी लिख दी, सिंथेसिस ऑफ योगा भी लिख दिया, इतने सारे कलेक्टेड वॉल्यूम्स भी दे गए हमको, प्लस ऑल द अदर्स मास्टर्स एंड मिस्टेक्स हु हैव टाइम एंड अगेन स्पोकन. तो अगर इतना आसान होता तो फिर इतनी सारी चीज़ों की ज़रूरत नहीं होती. तो मुश्किल है, बट आई थिंक पॉसिबल भी है. मुश्किल भी है, पॉसिबल भी है. So let's see what's there. We can actually finish this verse today. So let's go through, take it all up in one go, starting from remember, this means all living beings. So, Ritu, would you like to read now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, this means all living beings. This cannot be emphasized enough. Any beings that live in the waters or on the earth or in the sky, throughout the universe, in all realms. These are all sentient beings. We are aspiring to attain awakening in order to help enlighten and liberate all sentient beings because, like us, all beings are trapped in the prison house of samsara. If we can find the way to escape, we cannot just leave by ourselves. We have to open the door and help shepherd everyone else out too. This is the aspiration. This means that all these sentient beings we have to deal with are not obstacles to our enlightenment. They are wish fulfilling gems who help us cultivate our loving kindness, our compassion, our patient endurance, our generosity, and all the qualities of the heart. How could we do this if we didn't have people to practice on? We can sit in solitude and wish, may all beings be well and happy. Then somebody comes by and makes a noise, and we shout, shh, be quiet. I am doing my loving kindness meditation. To help us avoid that kind of hypocrisy, we need other beings. We need other people to mirror us, because only by relying on other sentient beings to awaken compassion and loving kindness can we cultivate all the stages on the path. Sentient beings are precious. Therefore, may I constantly cherish them all. May I constantly hold them dear. In this verse, Thogme Sangpo established the aim. So, what are we going to be doing for the rest of this text? Now we are going to get enlightened. And the only way to get enlightened is to make use of everything that happens to us, especially the adversaries that befall us, by transforming and taking them on the path. We have to take whatever comes to us as it comes and make use of it. Then we advance. If we only practice when all the outer conditions seem nice, but not when people are noisy, or when there are problems, or when we are feeling ill, or something adverse comes up, then we don't know how to practice. We have to learn how to use our life, everything in our life, as our practice. That's it. To remind us, we have verse it.
Verse 11 actually, it's talking about the
Mhm.
next verse.
Yeah, verse. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, this reminds me of some the Taru. She always shares. Na? There was a
Mm.
nun who was trying to meditate, and there was some children playing, or there was some noise, and then she tells herself that once they are done with, then I will meditate. But then the thought comes to her that what if this is my last moment?
Mm-hmm.
Then she doesn't care about the noise.
Mm.
Then she starts immediately.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yes. So when people are difficult in our life, to constantly cherish them, because when people are difficult outside, that is when I actually get an exponential chance to practice. उसी में हमारा बेस्ट टेस्ट होता है. Or if people are not outside who are giving, in the sense, trying to make me angry, or whatever little they say, it makes me, feel uneasy. If they as triggers are not there, then how would I know any progress has been made or not? अगर छोटे 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 थपेड़ों से हम हिल जाते हैं, तो उससे हमें पता लगता रहता है कि एक्चुअली अभी और प्रैक्टिस चाहिए, और प्रैक्टिस चाहिए, बिकॉज we see that how easily we are swayed and uprooted by all these changes in the outer condition. And ultimately, one has to come at the equanimity level also. And Sri Aurobindo says that equanimity can only be have if we are in soul consciousness. Otherwise, we don't have true equanimity. To be equal in the face of whatever outside happening is going on. To be equal. अंदर कुछ नहीं हिला, बाहर से ऑफ कोर्स ऑल द एक्शंस दैट वन हैज टू टेक इन दैट सिचुएशन वन विल बी टेकिंग, बट अंदर आपका नहीं हिल रहा, अंदर देयर इज अ काम. इट टेक्स टाइम until we develop truly and have that stability inside. So it's very good when we all have these kind of turmoils with the outer stuff. So to take everything on the path, not saying that this is not of the path, this is not of the path, whatever, wherever circumstances we are in, everything can be taken on the path. The only way to get enlightened is to make use of everything that happens to us, especially the adversities that befall us. तो ये नहीं बोलने की जरूरत देन कि वाई डिवाइन इज सो क्रूअल एंड वुड डू दिस टू मी. Then that is not necessary, because you know that the purpose of life is actually something else. So whatever has happened, let me take it on to the path and do my practice even better. तो कभी कोई दूसरे बंदे की वजह से हमें गुस्सा आता है या जेलसी होती है, तो रादर देन ब्लेमिंग दैट आउटवर्ड पर्सन, वी कैन एक्चुअली टोटली टेक इट ऑन मी कि मेरे में क्यों आई. बाहर से चलो कुछ भी बोला गया, बट इसका मतलब अभी भी ईगो एक्टिव है, because ego will generate jealousy and ambition and greed and lust and everything, that craving. So rather than saying that अच्छा तू मुझे आइसक्रीम क्यों दिखा रहा है, उसकी जगह हम ये भी तो बोल सकते हैं अच्छा उसने तो आइसक्रीम दिखाई, बट मेरे में क्यों इतनी ज्यादा ग्रीड आई उसको देख के, कि मेरे अंदर क्या है जो अभी भी बैठा हुआ है तैयार एक आइसक्रीम की झलक देखते ही उठने के लिए. So there is no enemy outside. There is, as we were reading in Savitri, there is a hidden foe lodged in the human breast. And that is what we have to transcend, and that is the inner war without escape. Each one of us has to transcend that hidden foe lodged in the human breast. That is what he says in Savitri. And on Buddhist path, we call it the ego consciousness. For centuries and eons and lifetimes, it has made a fool of us. Now, next time when it rises and asks me to follow its dictate, I will not listen. Yeah. I think this is also pretty crisp and clear, that just to practice when the outer conditions are nice is not enough. We have to learn how to use our life, everything in our life, as our practice. That's it. And then it continues in verse 11, which we'll take next. Yeah, so any last comments? Anyone? तो हम ये नहीं बोल सकते फिर कि somebody is an obstacle on my path. We can't say that. This means that all these sentient beings we have to deal with are not obstacles to our enlightenment. They are wish-fulfilling gems who help us cultivate our loving kindness, compassion, patient endurance, our generosity, and all the qualities of the heart. How could we do this if we did not have people to practice on? Yeah. All right. So, any last comments? Thoughts? So, if not, let's use this moment of silence to dedicate and share all the merit to sentient beings near and far, those who are close to us, those who we don't know, unknown to us, wherever they are, may all be well and happy. And may all of us have lots of true progress and true joy from within, and lots of courage to walk the path. Whenever we fall, we dust our pants, rise up again, practice again, shamelessly.